Welcome to the spot. It's time to ignite. Oh yeah. Operation Hangout. The feeling's just right. Chilling with the crew. We're ready to groove. Opinions flying high. Come on, let's move. Woo. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Pull up a chair, let's get in the zone. Voices blending smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Woo. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
What is going on, everybody? We have a special night, special guest. But before we get into it, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. You know where you're at. You're at Spartan SQ Network. I am your host, the Spartan, aka Peter. How is everybody doing tonight? So I can't do this by myself, unfortunately. I gotta bring the boldest guy ever known, the president himself, in. Oops. Mr. President, how are we doing tonight?
I am well. I'm exhausted. I went on a 9-mile walk this morning.
Poor baby.
And then I came back and did my workout. So I'm pretty white physically, but feeling good that I was able to pull it off. And so it's certainly a very physical demanding day, but I still got my head here. So, I'll take it.
And Eric's in the building. What is going on, Eric? So, you want to get into this or what?
Sure, let's do this, man.
All right, let's get her in here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, no more. We're not gonna hold you against anything. We have a author, 2-book writer, and a good person. Let's welcome Jen to the stage. What is going on? How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad.
Doing well.
Look like you're right over there. All right.
Doing well.
I've been chilling.
It's good to have you on. We appreciate you jumping on board with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
So, we always like starting with our I guess one special question is, what got you into writing?
I've been writing since I was little. I always liked writing and reading. You could always catch me with a book in my hand. One of my favorite places is the library.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe one of your early influences in writing was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That was one of the,
Absolutely.
wow,
I
yeah.
love that book.
Yeah, especially for the times. I'm just thinking like the scale of the world that they made, and then when they actually put it into film form, sort of 50s
Yeah.
film, that sort of remakes after that, and that's just quite an
Yeah.
imagination to build at those times. Like a lot of this technology wasn't even built yet, and the fact that they were able to fashion that in those times is incredible.
Crazy. A lot of sci-fi back then is reality now.
You ain't lying about that. Yeah, absolutely,
Look
absolutely.
at our smartwatches and phones right now. Like, who knew you were going to wearing smartwatches and taking phone calls like your communicators, like the Power Rangers and the Star Trek stuff. To me, it's
That's right.
fascinating.
That's right. Yeah. And I go back to the '90s with the flip phones and whatnot. So it's almost like they were inspired by Star Trek in terms of how they were designed and everything. But yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
that's pretty great. That's
So
pretty
the
great.
question is really what fascinates me is you're into sci-fi or horror, apocalyptic kind of stuff. What got you into that kind of writing style?
I mean, honestly, like I love the genres. I grew up loving it. She introduced me to the horror genre when I was little. I just fell in love with it,
Mm,
and I love the post-apocalyptic vibe. You know, and Juniper's story, the main character in the story I'm writing now, she just kind of stuck with me,
mhm.
so I had to get it down.
Right, right, right.
And some of my favorite books, The Giver, The
Mhm.
Hunger Games, they're all part of it. I
Right,
love it.
right. Yeah, I'm more familiar with books like at least when I was certainly in high school, like Fahrenheit 451. You
Oh yeah,
had
yep, yep.
just all those, and it's weird because you talk about how so much in those books was present. I mean, even especially in the apocalyptic stuff. Like one of my favorite movies, for example, of all time is this movie Rollerball. Came out in 1975, and it talked
Okay.
about a lot of these themes about like the drug culture. Like it seems like everyone's drugged up, or everyone's controlled
Oh
by
yeah,
something, or
yep.
there's some system, and like people worry about their privacy. People worry about social media and how many people are watching them. And again, a lot of those same things were kind of explored in those books back then, and that's kind of a reality now as well in terms of this idea of Big Brother kind of watching you and everything. So it's amazing how this is, like you said earlier,
Yeah,
manifest.
it's crazy. I grew up with like Terminator and Alien, and I love that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And even now, you talk to some people, they have like these doomsday ideas. They're building bunkers underground as we speak.
Yeah, that started like in the
It's
60s.
true. I see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Like I remember, like I go back and look at some old magazines from the like sales of underground bunkers. That was like a big, because again, especially during the Cold War,
Oh yeah, I was gonna say
that
the
was
Cold
like
War. Yep.
present for everybody. I was born after the Cuban Missile Crisis, but just reading about it or just understanding that time, like we were like that close, a hiccup away, and I guess we still live with that threat that's still today. So I think it makes that genre, at least for me, it makes it more real. It makes it more tangible. And I'm always asking the questions like, we were like, again, a decision away from something happening and having to deal with that post-apocalyptic reality. So yeah, that's something just personally I've always kind of had a fascination with, and to kind of see how can we sort of de-escalate things a little bit. But yeah, it was like I kind of grew up with a fear of that. We used to have drills in school. We had to get under their
I can't
desks
even
and things
imagine
like that.
that.
Yeah, yeah. They had the radiation signs like on you walk into
You
the
know what's
school and it was like a
also,
bomb shelter sort of deal.
and people don't realize women had a big impact in horror stuff,
Oh yeah.
like from very young as young ladies to teenagers to adults. And I watched a whole documentary recently about it, and women have a lot of impact in how horror movies are played out and act out.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
They do.
Apple, you got
Like
the
I
next
said,
question. Go ahead.
again, the Terminator, Linda Hamilton, loved her.
Yeah.
She was like my idol.
Absolutely.
Growing up.
Yeah, and that's Sigourney Weaver with Alien. I mean, that's the
Yep.
thing too. Science fiction has always given us these very heroic women, stand-up women who,
Very strong female lead. Yeah.
exactly, and nobody was intimidated by them back then. It's weird. It's like in the real culture, there's some sort of this toxic kind of thing in terms of women in leadership and whatnot. But science fiction is
I don't understand
yeah,
it.
but science fiction has never been afraid to put women at the helm and whatnot, and the
No.
fact that they bring a quality, not only just their leadership but also their sensitivity. Like the thing from Alien Skirney Weaver was her she was human. She had a heart and compassion, especially for Newt.
Yeah.
And like she kind of became a mother figure to her, even though she was still, the famous scene when she faces the mother alien and said, "Get away from her,"
Yeah.
And so she could be all of
Yeah.
these things. And I always thought that science fiction gave a space for women to be empowered, to be leaders, commanders, caregivers, all of the
Yeah.
all of the
Yep.
expressions that
And
sometimes our society
respected for
misses.
it, not like, given that or looked down upon, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Crazy.
absolutely. So I understand. So you're
So
working. Go ahead, Pete.
go, Paul. You
So
go. I got the
so I
last. I got the
understand that
first.
just reading your bio. So you already have a couple books. I'm sure you're probably sharing some of your work now. You're working on
Yeah.
it. So you already have this apocalyptic science fiction trilogy that you're working on. You already have 2 books out already. So talk about those. First of all, introduce those books to us. Talk about the inspiration, but certainly, how'd you come up with this concept, and how'd you think about the work? Because the one thing with writers that I'm always fascinated about is like you guys almost have to think in like all these different dimensions. You have to build worlds, define history, define narratives, and then you have to build characters as well. So how did all of this kind of get, how do you put all that together? Because I still, if you ask me to write an essay on anything, I was like, I can do history, book reports, things like that, but just write a story. It's like I don't know. So talk about that process and how'd you come up with your first novel, and then just how the story unfolded after that.
Well, the first book, which is Hope, this one
Mm.
here, I've been working on that. Well, I worked on that, geez, right after I got out of high school. So, well, no,
Oh wow.
when I graduated high school in 2000. It took me from that point about 10 to 15 years to get it out because I had publishers who were interested. They wanted me to change so much of it, and I just refused.
Yeah.
Like, this genre is already niche enough as it is. I'm not going to cut out what those people would appreciate. And so I had to go the self-publishing route, which takes time,
Yeah.
Time and money, because you don't have a publishing house behind you. You don't have an agent behind you. Like, when you're an indie author, you do all of that by yourself.
Right.
Like to the editing, everything.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I read this book, the first one, over and over again, trying to find out where's the mistake, where did I get a misspelling, am I doing it right? Like, so long. But then I made a promise. My aunt, she passed away a few years ago, made me promise that I would do something with it. So
Yeah.
when she finally passed away, I'm like, you know what? Just do it. And I just put it up on Amazon.
Yeah.
I haven't looked back.
Right.
With the first book, I have 8,000 sold in like three years.
Congratulations.
And that's just, my now helps me with it. Just the 2 of us, But like the writing, every author is a little different. Some people write as they go. Some people read outlines. Me, I'm writing as I go. I like, it keeps me more invested. Like, I have like little, you would say, cliff notes of the characters and a little bit about what they are, but I can't just break it down. But I try and like how I write. I want you to be able to close your eyes and envision a movie going through.
Right.
That's take with it.
Okay. I get it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I didn't with this book. I have nothing against zombies. I love a good zombie story, but I didn't want this book about that. I wanted to go, and actually when I started writing it, like I said, we weren't in the political atmosphere we are in now.
Right.
Because, in Hope, it's placed after a nuclear war destroyed the surface of the earth.
Right.
And in this political climate, it's scary how close that could happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
one button push. That is all it takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then once I got Hope out, I didn't want it to be about like a year, maybe a year and a half to get the second one out.
Mhm.
I'm working on the third one now. I rushed. Oh, I don't want to say I rushed the second one, but I put a deadline on myself. Rushed. I
Okay.
did not like it. So the third book, I'm just like taking my time
Right.
until I'm 100% good with it.
Right. Right.
This book here is just a combination of the both of them. It's like my special edition.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's weird because I from a very just a somewhat of a comparison. Like I used to do a lot of graphic work back in the day,
Okay.
and I just did it just for the fun of it. Like I got like one of the first Apple Mac computers back in the day, and I just loved just working on it. And I tried to turn it into a business, like a desktop publishing business, and it's like night and day. Like to create as you go along just for the love of it is one thing, but then when you have dates and deadlines and whatnot, it kind of stunts a lot of the creative process. At least it did for me, and it took a lot of the joy out of the process of creating and envisioning certain things. And the thing is, you thought you had it right. You were proud of the work that you submitted, but then the buyer, they had their input on it. And like you were saying earlier, just like with the book publishing companies, like they'll want you to change some things, even though it's like you are very proud. It's like, no, this is what I want to push. But they have their own ideas in terms of what sells and whatnot. And that can be challenging in and of itself. And again, if you're not careful, you can sort of lose your love or passion for whatever it is that you're doing. I got to a point where I just kind of put everything down for a while because I'm just getting burnt out. So was that something that you kind of saw experience with either with the writing of the first book, I mean the second book, or with again trying to get the first book published through the book publishers and whatnot? Did you kind of feel that stress that was on you?
Yeah, no, I definitely, I felt that stress. You really have to love what you're doing and love the creative process to go this route. While it's easier, it's so much easier than it was even 10 years ago to self-publish. I mean, you have to find a cover artist. You got to find, you got to call these places with book signings where you want to have your book in. Like, have a convention coming up. What is it? It's April 11th. You have to reach out to these people. You have to get, and it's just, you get that far. Like, writer's block too is a real pain in the butt.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to cover that with you too.
I can't tell you how many times I've it for hours, and I'm just like, okay, come. Just nothing. But then,
I can relate. Trust me, trying to come up with ideas for the shows. I have our team meetings. I looked at these guys sometimes like I'm having writer's block so bad.
Yeah, that's a constant, and we go back and forth because people are like, come on, what are we doing? What are we doing? I'm like, I don't. I know, because I'll get, and it's like I'm real good at, like, if I get something right away, I try to get to people. It's like, Pete, we got to do this. You know what I mean? But it's like coming up with, like, weeks and weeks of content, especially if you think, if you've covered everything. It's like, keeping that creative juices flowing, or content that keeps it fresh, that we're not duplicating something that we did before. And just, because most of our shows are live. We don't do pre-tapings or anything like that. So always trying to come up with a live format can be very challenging at times as well.
I can't even imagine doing that week after week.
Yeah.
This gives me a headache alone.
So really fast, for some of the questions in the chat, guys, I highlighted, and I'm going to come back towards the end. I'm going to give them out to Jen all together at one stop. The question I do have for you as an author: what are the biggest challenges and the biggest freedoms as a writer and publisher of your own work?
One of the biggest challenges is having enough money to pay for everything. Because, like, you ever go to a convention, okay, and you go to a table, all the books, all the bookmarks, all the pins, all the stickers. We have to design all that.
Yeah.
And we find a what do you call it? It left me. We have to find someone who could produce good quality things.
Right.
We want something like real cheap.
Right.
But you got to be prepared to spend a little money and time.
True.
Like you have to be, especially as an indie author, you got to be seen in the public.
Mhm.
Like you have to be active on your social media. You have book signings. You have to be doing things of that nature consistently, or you'll just be forgotten about. Like even these conventions, like I haven't been to a book signing where I haven't sold that lead books, but I kind of look at them as like my marketing budget. Because where else am I going to network with some of these people? Like I've met,
Right.
you know, Rikishi from WWE. You know, he had my book, loves it. Like, where else am I going to meet this man and shake his hand and talk to him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even when I did that Geekdom Con, I met the Black Ranger from the Power Rangers. Like, he took my book, I shook his hand, we spoke about it. Like, where am I going to talk to these people on the regular? You know what I mean? And network. So
Yeah, I can relate a little with that because I go to Comic-Con areas for the last 10 plus years. Paul has been to too, and some of the other team members. We've gone to them, and I see the tables. I see how much money people put out. I see the events, and like, you're right. Where else you gonna see it? Like, I met Rikishi personally myself twice. Great guy. I met some other people over there. I met Black Power Ranger myself. It was a fun experience. But when am I gonna ever meet? When am I ever going to meet people that I grew up with and shake their hand like, hey, thanks for, expiring my childhood or what, something in that matter. And people find different authors at cons all the time. It might be somebody may come in your book like, oh, that's interesting. Makes me someone get in line, have a conversation with you, and next minute they're buying your books. You never know where and how.
Yeah, no, you don't know. And I've had people who've seen me at book signings, like at Barnes and Noble or something, and they remember my sign, they remember the promotional material, they remember it was eye-catching, they remember the book, and then they come out and buy that book because they seen it. Presentation matters, but you got to be prepared to spend the money on that.
Yeah, the money and then also the schedule. So like when you are like sort of in the circuit, like how many weekends out the year you're out there and whatnot, and then also how do you balance? Because I know you're married. I think in your bio, you have a family. So how do you balance family commitments and whatnot with the touring, and we have to get out there and network and do all the schmoozing that sometimes needs to be done. So talk about that balance. How do you when it gets hot and heavy, what does that look like?
I don't I don't sleep. I lucked out. Like my husband is a giant nerd. Like he loves it. He loves helping them. My daughters, they love comic conventions. So they like to come for it.
Okay, that's nice.
They like to ride and to go to the conventions. Last year was a little difficult for me to stay in the circuit, because I had different financial obligations. So last year I didn't do anything. But the goal is at least once a month, whether it's a signing at Barnes and Nobles, a convention, or something, at least once a month, I'm out and I'm seen. And this year I've been really able to do that. So I'm blessed this year with that.
That is awesome. And it's great that your family's along for the ride. Because we talk to a lot of different people who are in like second careers. We talk to a lot of military guys who are now stand-up comedians and whatnot. And the one thing that they all share in common is the support that they get from their spouses. Like without the spousal support and the family support, like the daughters are kind of saying, go dad, you can do this. That is just big. And you're just demonstrating once again how when the family's really behind you, it just makes it so much easier for you to go out there and do these
matters.
things.
Like my daughter, I wish she won't let me show any of her artwork. She is so talented. Like I'm gonna do mock-ups of characters in my book, and she actually lets me do it. So she's helping me with that. My husband helped me with the editing. So like I've truly been blessed in there with that. You always try and find ways you can cut back. Like I had a friend of mine, she painted for the first book. I drew the cover for the second book. So like find ways to try and use your talents and try and save money any way you can.
Yeah. Are you have you been looking at possible like at least for some of the graphic work and the creative, some AI, not so much for the writing, I think that has to come from you. I don't think AI can ever replace that. But as far as some of the graphics, the designs, the cover work, or at least almost like a storyboard in terms of, helping you to, frame some of the ideas.
I've thought about it. I actually used one of my pictures, one of my personal pictures I took, and used AI with it for like marketing reasons.
Hmm.
But then I feel bad about it because as an artist myself, I feel bad,
Mm,
like realizing that. But at the same time, I try, like, it could be expensive to hire somebody to do it, and as they should charge what they're
right.
worth,
One
you
on, yeah.
know. But as someone who doesn't have even a few $100 bank right now, like I have to try and save money where I can.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to be careful with AI. You know, respect to the artist and respect to what you're doing, because like you said, the writing's got to come from you. Most of it should come from you because you're the force
That's right.
writing.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. That's right.
Now, let
Pete,
me
you
ask
had
this
next
question. You live in the Pocono area, like myself. Has that expired you in your writing and your storytelling?
Yeah. Like, I love hiking
Mm,
and camping.
mm.
And can I tell you, the woods in the Poconos, the amount of ruins you come across, I love it. So much inspiration I've come just from hiking and stumbling across these things.
Wow.
And that's funny because that was my next question: is any real life experience influence your writing? So the answer is yes. In other words,
Well, yes, and even Juniper, like, when you start Juniper, the main character, like when you read how she is, she struggles with like anxiety and panic. Like, that's me. Some of that's there in her.
Mm,
So
okay.
absolutely.
Right. 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 And so you said you started with the first book. You said you started this basically in high school.
Yes.
When you started first putting it together. Again,
Yes.
what was some of the inspiration? Like, what were you seeing? Or what were you envisioning at that time? And then how'd you kind of build on it? Was there an inspiration, or these just ideas starts coming in your head and you start putting it down as it came in?
Honestly, I had a dream.
Okay.
I had a dream, and I didn't forget it. I wrote it down, and the story just
Mm,
I kind of went from there. Like, it changed. It changed a few times here and there, but the majority of the story, the feel of the story, was always the same.
gotcha. Gotcha.
A lot of questions I get asked, though, because of the book name, they always think church related. They think it's
Yeah.
some kind of inspirational book, and I'm
Right.
like
Right. Right.
no.
Right. Although, I mean, obviously, you got to have some sort of inspiration to live in a post-apocalyptic type of world society. I mean, why, you always have to challenge yourself, like why you want to live, because we used to, when I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
when I was in
definitely.
high school, we had, like, in my social studies classes, we dealt with those questions all the time. What if there was a nuclear war? Would you want to live? Would you want to be near one of the bomb sites, or would you want to be surviving and be a part of the help to I mean, we were challenged to, and we would have to make like pro and con, like,
Oh
why
yeah.
just get taken out, and why live, why society, why human beings need to live. And so those are questions that we had to, kind of confront, like I said, almost on a weekly basis, because I'm an 80s kid. So again, this is like the Reagan years, Gorbachev, and
Oh yeah. Yep.
all that time period or whatever. Like I said, that was a very real situation for us. So yeah, I would think that for these characters in this story, like, what from, and again, if you just want to also just kind of give a high level summary of the basis of the book, like, what is the hope, if you will, of these individuals, and
Well,
what keeps them moving on.
Hope, you got to remember, in Hope, it's not in the first book anyway. It doesn't deal with the fallout.
Okay.
It's 300 later, so humanity's already
Okay.
been ground, established themselves underground. That was kind of challenging, like putting myself already there, like 300 years
Okay.
later, dealing with
Yeah.
that kind of authoritarian rule. Because in Hope, we meet her on her 16th birthday,
Mm.
and in the comics called the Compound, what they call themselves, their society. At 17 years old, like twice a year, all the 17-year-olds are taken away from their families, and they have to go to a school called Discovery. There, they have to learn a trade or a skill to give back to it, and they give you 6 months to do this. If you don't do this, into the radiation to die. Fight back. If you argue, if you challenge it, you're thrown to the radiation to die.
Wow.
So that's the reality she's
Yeah.
living in right now. You know, Jalia rules all. You go against her, you're done. Like no matter what.
Right.
So you always have this like fear.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you.
One thing I would do, I do it like about this genre, like Fallout has a great story behind it, for example, and you never know which direction you're gonna go with it. So you might have one direction in your mind. Oh, they're gonna go this about whatever X, Y, and Z. All of a sudden, take a left. Like, whoa, where this came from?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been compared to Fallout, Divergent, stuff like that. I've never seen Fallout or played the video games because I was writing Hope. I didn't want to be influenced.
Gotcha. All right.
I'm dying. Watch it.
It did justice to the series. I wasn't a big fan of the game, but I was a big fan of the show, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So walk us through the writing process from start to beginning. What is the process behind all this?
Well, like I said, it's different for every artist. Like some people like to, like I said, create allies, have their characters developed, and know exactly how they're going to be, and then they write as they go. Like I said, for me invested, keep me into it. I kind of like to write start to finish, like chapter by chapter.
Mhm.
Like if I get an idea that might fit in later on, I'll jot it down, but I can't do outlines. I can't.
Yeah.
You know, but then you know you gotta get the first draft done. You gotta get then you go to the editing process, which is that alone. So the first one, like basically I did it myself, but then
Right.
I can't tell you how many different versions of that I've gone through.
Right. Now you said your husband also helps you with the editing.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
he helps me with the editing, and he helps me with booking events. Like I said, I have a convention. It's called Sun. It's in Hackenstown, New Jersey, on the 11th. Also, what's helped me out is I say probably about a year. I joined a group called the Fantasy Author Legion, and it's a group of indie authors in the fantasy genre. It has been such a resource. Like we all get together, we all share our ideas, what's worked, what hasn't worked. We've been doing book together places I wouldn't normally be able to get to.
Right.
Helps out a lot. They're actually going to be on at the Javits.
Oh, nice.
In a couple of weeks.
Nice.
So that's exciting.
Right.
You know, my book's there. My books
Oh, wonderful.
are going to be there at their table in front of 1,000 people.
Right.
I'm very excited about
That is great. Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, and again, certainly back in the day, I don't know if that was a resource that was available. These networks to bring these indie writers together and have a platform and support one another. I think that's a great. I know several guys who could have really benefited from having that kind of connection back in the day.
Like even these publishers, though, like there's nothing wrong with traditional publishers, but let's say you go that route. They like your manuscript, they take it. They can sit on a decade and not do anything with it.
Right.
So then you're sitting on it. You can't do anything. Then you're probably going to have to buy them back. Like it's such a headache.
Yeah.
But even now, I guess that atmosphere too, because I've heard of some people, like certain publishers, unless you can prove you sell it yourself, they won't even do you.
That's true. That is true.
It's crazy.
That is true. Yeah.
Is your book on Audible and all those online platforms?
It is not on Audible yet. I'm very picky with my voice actors. Like, I don't want a man to do it because it's first person view. Like it's from her perspective. She's a 17-year-old girl, so I don't want it to be a guy. But I am on Amazon, the Kindle, Apple Books, Google Books, Barnes and Noble, BAM, Walmart, I've done pretty good by myself. I can't complain. The first time I walked into Barnes and Noble and Wilkes-Barre and saw my books on the shelf, I about you know, you know.
Yeah.
And
The question
my
that comes to
genre
my
too,
mind.
like, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish yours. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, that's good. It's also my genre, you know, sci-fi post-apocalyptic kind of fits in with like the comic book crowd as well.
Mhm.
So I'm fortunate I'm able to go to quite a bit of comic book stores, like White Dragon in Townsville, for instance.
Mhm.
I've sold books there. Pete lets me
That's
keep
my man right there. Pete's my
inventory
man.
there. Yeah. You walk into that store, you'll see local indie authors. I'm right there, author.
Yeah.
You know, and they do sell. I've had to recently. So that's cool. And whatchamacallit, the Gamer's Edge in Stroudsburg. I was selling them there for a minute too.
Gotcha. Do you find it
You're talking
more?
about my backyard.
Yeah. You talk about
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble, and thank goodness there's still a Barnes and Noble. So I mean, because again, you had like Borders. I mean, I was a big Borders guy for a lot of years,
So
and
was I.
then you know
Yeah.
Barnes and Noble. So it was like with all the changes, and so all these retail stores closing because of pandemic and all that kind of stuff. So they seem like they're still hanging in there, and people
God, they
still,
are.
yeah.
And can I tell you how happy I am every time I do go signing in there to see it's always busy. Like people are buying like basket full of books and they're happy to be there.
Mhm.
It's busy. There's people walking around. It just makes me so happy
Yeah.
to see that it's like that can still thrive.
Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
Now, Anton, you talking about Walton Books, B. Dalton. I remember that one as well. But it didn't have the buzz. Like it was always, I guess, a small store. It didn't have the atmosphere. But I think you put a Starbucks in a Barnes and Noble most of the time. You go there after work. I mean, it was such
Yeah.
just like a happening place for all kinds of activity going on. And you're right, there is, especially ones at the mall. You always, you had a good time, when you were there. But I'm just glad that they're still keeping that space open for writers. And when I've been to several. When Borders was open, I went to several, book openings and whatnot. And it's just a nice experience to get
Yeah,
people who really follow the genre.
it really is too with authors. As long as I forget the exact title, but they make it so nice for authors to come and have book signings there. Like they're just so they're so accommodating and so they're just so great to work with.
Mhm.
I love it. Every time I go there, whether it's the Wilkes-Barre one or the Bartonsville or not Bartonsville, Bethlehem one or the one in Ledgewood, New Jersey, like right outside Rockaway, I sell out.
Nice.
I sell out, and it's fantastic.
Very good. Very.
And they're just so.
It is funny because last summer, my best friend lives in Maryland, so he goes, let's do one of my favorite things: go to a Baltimore Mall, get coffee, and read a book. I'm like, are you serious? All right.
Yeah.
I'm like, this place is gonna be dead. I'm thinking I haven't been one in years, and I walked in. This place is busier than anything, and
That's what I was just saying. I love it.
oh yeah, I respect that. And I thought, okay, the comic book era and anime section is gonna be very small, maybe one shelf. Man, that thing is packed.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah, it's
big.
volume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's big.
It's volume.
And this is
And
the
they have
question
merch too to go with it.
Yep.
that goes with this is what is the difference between the online, the online booking, the ebooks versus the physical books? Is it different, a different pitch you have to do, or is it a different marketing? Or what is it the difference like from somebody who doesn't know behind the scenes stuff?
No, it's easier and faster to get an online book. It's literally keystrokes, and you submit it. It's easier to get out faster.
Mhm.
And a lot of people, I don't know. It's actually coming up. It's how there are a lot of people prefer to Kindle because it's like in your pocket. You
Mhm.
can take that anywhere. You have hundreds of books in your pocket.
Right.
But for me, I'm a diehard hold the book paperback person.
know a lot of people like
I
that.
like flipping through the pages. It's weird, but I like to smell the books, old books, new books. Like
Smell. Yeah, that is something to that. You're right. A fresh smelling book. I'm always into that. Like new cars, new homes, the smell of the cedar wood or whatever. But opening up a brand new book.
it's got
There
different
is
smells.
There's
Yeah.
something special about that. You're absolutely right. Before you spill coffee on it or write
One
Yeah.
thing
whatever. So
I do like
I
about
agree.
a old school book, and I have like one or two signed, is getting signed and meeting the author. That experience, it will not change, anywhere, because meeting the author and asking questions and talking to them and
In
seeing
person, yeah.
signing the book is a lifetime experience, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and it's one of the best
No,
experience personally.
Like
for
yeah.
at least for me anyway, I love that aspect too. That's why I try and do it as often as like I said, at least once a month. Get out and I like to meet the fans. I like to talk to them. I like to hear from them. I love my story. Like I did so well with my first book at Barnes and Noble in Wilkes-Barre that they threw a book opening, a book launching party for me for my second book.
Oh, nice.
And some girl, forgive me, she's gonna kill me because I can't remember her name. But saw that I posted that I was gonna be there. She came flying those doors, made a huge scene, like that she was there to get this book. Can I tell you? I look behind me like me, like, and she's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I had to come meet you." That is like the best feeling
Mhm.
a kid can have.
Yeah.
Like this girl drove about an hour and a half away just to come and meet me and get the second book.
Wow.
I loved it.
No, yeah, that's really cool. My experience with a lot of any kind of like either authors or even like some entertainers, the only thing that still gets me is like a lot of times the things that they're most famous for isn't necessarily their favorite works. So it's
Yeah,
almost like it's like, yeah, I really loved it, and it's like, I really want to talk about something. It's like
yeah,
that pays the bills, but it's not their passion. Like it's like, it's not like what they put their heart and soul in. But because a publisher or an art or a manager or something's like, hey, this is great, this will sell. They say, yeah, go ahead and do that, and that's all they're known for. And then I guess sometimes they feel typecast because
yeah.
this thing took off, it went viral or whatever, and you can't control that a lot of times. But they really, as far as their favorite work, it was something a lot more special to them that a lot of people don't get a chance to see.
Yeah, a little plus side of a writing. You can choose what you want, when you want it, where to go. You keep all the rights. You get to decide what you're willing to publish. You're okay with it at
Right.
any point in time. And you don't get that with traditional publishing.
Gotcha.
And that's really important because you have control of your product
Yep.
end of the day.
Yep.
Yeah, so nobody
Yep.
like the big boss up of the CEO who has never touched a book in 20 years. He just knows numbers and goes,
It's a totally
Jen,
different
I want to.
mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it completely is. And like we all deal with it in our everyday jobs. And like he's never stepped in the kitchen. In my case, he doesn't know how to cook anything. It tells me how to do things. Like, when the last time you cooked? I don't cook. I don't know how to boil oil. I'm like,
Yeah.
get out. Simple as that.
Right.
But the question I have for you, this is gonna be a twist question for you. I like a little twist questions once in a while. Is somebody come up to you?
Brace yourself.
All right. It's shut up over there. Before I hit my button, you don't make me push the button. Don't I gotta push the button now. You gotta make me push the button.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
So coming like budgets is no limit. You can control. You have full control, but you only have to pick one or the other. A live action show versus an anime show. Which one would you pick to your book come in a Netflix or any type of streaming services?
I would never go with Netflix. They're too notorious for picking up a good show and cutting it.
Mm. That is
I
true.
would never do that to my work.
That is true.
And damn.
I got you, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean, unless it was going to be like, if it had a good budget, I would go with live action. But if it didn't, I would go with animation. Way more for a lot less.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd have to have veto power. This is my baby.
That's right.
I'd have to have some kind of veto power. Like, you're not going to change my story. Nope.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's one thing I did like about the earlier Marvel movies. They brought Stan Lee and they got his creative because he created all this stuff, and he had full feedback. But after Disney, it went downhill fast.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree they were better when he was there, but I still enjoy them for what they are. Like my husband's a huge Marvel fan. Like
Mhm.
he's got a tattoo on his body,
Right. Right.
and he likes the strong female characters. Like he has Miss Marvel,
Yeah.
Captain America. You know, he loves.
Right. Gotcha.
Um,
Wanted to talk about you. We touched on this a little bit earlier. That writer's block. Uh, how do you get over it?
honestly, I'll be sitting there. I could be sitting there for weeks on end trying to get past it. And you know what? Screw this. I'm done. Put it down. I walk away. And then out of nowhere, I can't tell you how many times, like morning, it'll just hit me.
Mhm.
And then I got to go and write it down.
Mhm. Yeah.
My husband was like, it broke. It finally broke. I got to get it out. I got to get it down.
You just gotta.
Yeah.
So right. So the idea of trying to force it is
You can't force it.
it's you just can't overcome that. Take a walk or do whatever. But yeah, but
Yeah,
sometimes
you
but
always
that's
want
yeah.
to try. Yeah.
Yeah, just stepping
You always
away
want to
from
try and
it and just
overcome it.
live your
Yeah.
life and do things and let things just
Yep.
manifest. Like I said, you're
Because
the inspiration for your first book, like you said, it was a dream. You could have necessarily manufactured that. It just came and you
yeah.
just jumped on and you stuck with it. So because again, a lot of times like you hear these writers, again, I got friends who write and they always talk about these things. And a lot of times it's situational, having the space or the privacy to write. Are you one of those people like you got to be away, daughter, leave me alone, husband, leave me alone. You got to be in the corner of the house or whatever to get that kind of inspiration, or you
Yeah.
can kind of flow anywhere.
I don't know. I prefer to be by myself because that way I can immerse myself in that world.
Mm.
Um, if I can't do it here, I'll go to the library, and just disappear. Because a lot of times, like, no any harm, but when I tell them I need to step away and write, it doesn't click because I'm still here. Honey, can you get that? Mom, can you get that? Can you get me this? Can you get me that?
100%.
I can't focus
Yeah.
the way I.
Yeah. Well, I already said, like, was one of my wife and I were going away in a couple days. It's like home is not a restful place for us because there's always something to do. There's always something to clean. But if we want to like really get away from, and we're at this point now in our lives where we just like, if we want to just get away and do absolutely nothing. Like I used to be a big guy, we go on vacation or whatever. Yeah, we got to see everything and do everything. We take these times just literally just to get out of the house. Like even if we get like a hotel, like that's like 10 minutes away, we'll do that because it's not our place. And it's just amazing how that separation does something for us as far as clarity. And then when we come back, I don't have like my dog jumping up on me. I don't have, my kids or just like I said, just the distraction of the house sometimes. So
Yeah, because
I know what you're talking about, like getting to the library. That's a great place for me. If I have some ideas or things I need to flesh out to, I go to the library as well.
yeah, yep. And there's expectations, there's responsibilities you have to do.
Yeah.
Like you said, getting away just for days, just for the sole reason to do it,
Mm-hmm.
is life changing.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
Like
I
I
gotta
said,
tell people they do that.
I know I've been going to Comic-Con over the couple of years now, and every time I talk to authors, some of them tell me like, "Hey, I might be walking my dog. All of a sudden, this idea pops in my head, and you see me juggling the leash and the phone and writing the ideas down. I'm like,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
you don't know where. Like, it can be from walking a dog in the middle of a big meeting at work, or even in the toilet. And like that's why the phone is always
Anyway.
right there. You never know when the idea comes in your head. And I think it's funny.
Oh,
Like next minute, like you.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have so many voice memos for that reason.
Yeah. So
we want to be respectful of your time tonight. So again, we definitely want to get in some of the Q&A that people have in. But you have I'm looking at the chat here. You got a big fan base here that is really proud that you're on. And so if you want to show some of the highlights,
Thank you.
People.
So
really
let's go over the first three questions that we highlighted. So I'll let you read them off, Paul. Here's the first one from Anton.
These stories sound very compelling. Where can we find them? So again, if you want to plug your website or where the best places, then we'll make sure that we, even post show, we'll make sure that we get all the information out. So
I do have my website. They're available there at www.genastell.com. You can also get them on Amazon. hard copies or the Kindle. Apple Books, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, Wilkes-Barre has physical copies. Barnes & Noble East in Bethlehem has physical copies. White Dragon in Tannersville has physical copies. Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to be in New Jersey in a few weeks. April 11th, they can come Comic-Con, or not Comic-Con, listen to me, Comic-Con, Cyclone Con, and Hackettstown. Sometime, I forget the date, in May, I'm going to be at Barnes & Noble in Jersey again as well. If you want to be at BookCon, Fantasy Legion will have a table, and my books will be there along with other authors of the fantasy genre. So yeah, there's many places online. BAM, Books A Million, Walmart.com, BarnesandNoble.com, anywhere really online that you can think of to purchase a book.
Absolutely. All right, next question, P.
Next one is from Eric. Are you familiar with the author Anna?
Yeah, Anne McCaffrey, C.J. Cherry, Catherine Kurtz, excellent reading. Have you tried any of their materials?
I have not, actually.
Okay. Everyone go to the next one.
And the last one from Eric is
So, what are your thoughts on audio drama as a storytelling medium? Big Finish Productions as an example.
Well, this like audiobook? Is that what they're trying to say?
Well, to me, it's almost like the old, really old genre, like the radio stories that used to be on. Like it wasn't. It's like the dramatizations
Yes.
of these books.
That is why. That's part of the reason. Another reason why it's taking me so long to find a narrator, because I don't just want a narrator. I want you to feel it. Like, I used to have this teacher in elementary school. She used to read stories. She was one of the main reasons I really loved reading. Like, she was animated. If the character was excited, she was excited. If they were sad, she was sad. If they were angry, she was angry. Like, I want you to be able to feel it. I don't want you to fall asleep like the teacher from Ferris Bueller, talking like this, and it puts people to sleep.
Yeah.
That I do not want that.
Yeah.
I want you to get excited. Like back in the day, the voice actors, people got into it. You were engaged because you couldn't look at a screen. You had to go on the excitement by how it's said to you. So yeah, no, I it's one of the reasons it's taken me so long too. I want to find I want someone to feel it.
All right. Well, here's a question for you. I didn't even think about it until this question came up. What's the music tone of your world? If you're gonna put music to your world, or in this case, if it was going to be like an audio book, like a more dramatization, what are we hearing in the background? What have you thought about that kind of, because music can also set the tone for that as well. So what comes to your head when it comes to the soundtracks of your stories?
I mean, certain different parts of the book are going to have like different themes. Like sometimes I'm listening to like heavy metal.
Right.
Sometimes I'm listening to like, I don't really know. I don't want to call it alternative. But it's like a mix of like screaming and singing, like a Marionette.
Right.
I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're a great band that I love and I love to go and see, and they've let me use their music for promotional purposes. I also like to try. I've been blessed where I have friends who are very creative. They create their own music, so I try to incorporate some of that in there. I know with the book, I've reached out to a few people to discover music again. So I definitely want that on my audiobook. I'm trying to incorporate that more. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to incorporate that, but I know I'm going to.
Yeah. That's great. I think want to start landing plane, because again, we want to respect your time tonight and whatnot. But I guess because one of the reasons why also we're excited to have you on tonight, that you are in the sort of the trenches. You're not, you got you go to Comic Con, you get the big author tables and whatnot, and lines around the corner and whatnot. But you're in the
Yeah.
grind. You're not
Yeah.
sugarcoating what it is. This is hard work. It's
It
hard
is.
to get your work, your materials out. It's expensive, and sometimes you're struggling with that. So I think what you're doing is, and I think for a lot of people, they're not looking for, the big people aren't necessarily the inspiration. It's the people
Yeah.
who've been able to succeed, but can share the struggle as you've done tonight. So what would you say to someone who wants to get into writing, has some ideas, and maybe even have a script? What would you recommend to them as far as getting things started if they want to get something published, and then also to the people who may, again, they love to write but they haven't been able to quite put it all together, they've struggled with writer's blocks and whatnot. So those two things. So for someone who's, okay, I think I got something worth publishing, what would be your recommendation for someone who wants to get something out? And then secondly, for the people who struggle with the writing process, what would you recommend for them? How can they get over that block to get to a script that can potentially be published?
Get out of your way. Out of your way, because usually people who do this, they're perfectionists. Everything's got to be perfect, so they overanalyze, they overthink, they overcritique, because you're your own enemy. Like for my book, Hope, another reason it's so long is I kept redoing it. Like, are the chapters long enough? Is the book long enough? Like, is it a long novel? Like, and my husband actually sat me down. And he goes, Sabrina, who's one of your favorite authors? Stephen King. Okay. You ever read a Stephen King novel? Some of his chapters are a page long. They are a page long.
Right.
And some like Catcher in the Rye and The Giver, they're as big as this book here. They're not 400-page novels. And don't understand, I love me a good 400-page novel. But if that's not where your book is taking you, do force it, because it's going to be something you hate, and the readers are going to tell, and you're going to be able to tell it was forced. So get your ideas down. Find like a beta reader or somebody you trust who's going to give you real advice, but get out of your way. Get it done. Get it to where you think it's passable, like a rough draft, and how to read it. That was the best thing I ever did.
Gotcha.
Well,
great, and that's great advice.
Things before we go, I'll let you go. Is one, next time you White Dragon writing any books or anything like that, you better let this Greek know so I can come down and support my home game.
Speaking this Greek, free comic book day. I will be there for signing.
Oh, where?
I will be there. Free comic book day. Dragon. I will be there. I'm having a book signing there for free comic book day.
Let me know what date that is on it, because our work schedule are kind of into flux sometimes. You know how that is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I think I'm actually off, so it's either a Friday or Saturday. I know that.
Saturday, so
but I'm going to be there. Yeah, with Pete's usually pretty lenient. I'll probably be there all day.
Pete's a great guy. Really fast for people who are trying to figure out who's the other people talking about. He's the owner of White Dragon Comics in Strasbourg, is it? Or Tannersville?
White Dragons in Tannersville.
Tannersville. Great guy. He knows his comic books. He knows his gaming. I always joke around. He's my dealer. I tell people we can buy my retro gaming stuff from him. The last 2 minutes is yours. Plug in whatever you like, whatever you want to say. You want to curse one of those out? Be my guest. The floor is yours.
No, I can curse you out. That's May 2nd, by the way.
You know me too well yet.
It's free comic book day. I can never curse anybody. There's a lot of cursing in the book, but I couldn't curse you out. So yeah, it's if you're interested in the book, Hope follows Juniper. It's a post-apocalyptic thriller. There's some kind of romance, but that's not the focus of the story. There is cursing, there is death, typical post-apocalyptic. Depending on what you feel comfortable. I mean, I let my daughter read it at 14, no, 13. That was my choice. Like I said, there's a lot of cursing. Mid-teenage things happen. But if you have any any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Anybody listening, if you're struggling with the writing process, I have a contact me on my website. I'll get it. So, message. Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah.
I know one thing that I struggle with too is talking public. So, if I missed anything, I apologize. But thank you for having me.
Not a problem.
It
And
was
again,
such
we
a
put your
pleasure.
website
Definitely.
in the chat, and
you.
so again, we'll continue to hype your page, and we'll share the information. But really appreciate you
appreciate
coming
that.
on tonight, and
one
just
last thing
all
for
the
me
best.
is-
Yeah.
When I see you at the White Comic, I'm definitely picking a book, and I want to add your book in my collection. With I have a couple signed books. I want to add that to my collection.
Nice.
So
I love
I'll
it.
be coming up there. Don't worry. So again, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
It
Appreciate it.
was such a fun show. I can't say more. Hopefully we'll get you back soon another time, and maybe when your fourth or fifth book comes out. So we're definitely
Absolutely.
looking forward to having you.
Absolutely. Thank you both, guys. Thank you. It's been
All
a
right,
pleasure.
have a great night. You take care.
You as
Awesome.
well.
Have a good
Yep.
night.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Man, that
All right,
was
let's
awesome,
get this
man.
guy back in here. He's waiting very patient. Let's get Anton in here. Anton, what's up, my man? Sorry I had
What's
you
going
wait
on,
back,
fellas?
but
Nah, it's no big
we didn't
deal.
want to
No big
overcrowd the
deal.
chats. Yeah.
That's totally
Okay,
understandable.
Paul, you were going to say something before I didn't cut you off.
No, I put again in the chat, again, GeneEstelle.com. It's in the chat, so you guys can certainly go and check out her website. All the books are there and whatnot. So definitely support the work that she's doing. But I love the interview. I love the realness of it, because it's like anything else. People think that this is easy. I mean, like I said, I can't. My mind doesn't work that way, where I can build worlds and characters and people and flesh them out and keep these things consistently going over time.
That's
So the fact
talent.
that she's in the process of doing that, and again, the grind, like I said, this is not easy work, and she's able to put that in, so again, I really think that this interview is going to help a lot of people. And the last thing she said, I thought was so brilliant, was like, a lot of people, a lot of creatives, perfection should never be the goal, but excellence. And you have a lot of perfectionists, they get in their own way and they stop for a lot of different things that they could be doing with their lives. They never kind of get over that. So again, I thought that was great advice for someone. Just get ideas down. It doesn't have to be a 400-page novel, short stories, even if it's 3 or 4 pages, but just to get things down and then have other people read it. I think that's a lot of people are just fearful of even doing that. So again, I would definitely agree with her advice there in order to do that. But your thoughts on that answer?
Definitely. That's as honest as you can be. And I'm glad she was that honest to tell everyone about that, because you hear about people who write books, you hear about their challenges, the difficulties, trying to stay consistent, not, deviating from the topic and everything and the subject matter. It's not that simple. There are people we all know someone who has written a book or books, and it's not that simple. It's not that easy. It's not that straightforward, because you'll write it, and then you'll go over it, then you'll rewrite it, and then you'll rewrite it again and make changes.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to like, oh, I get it. You just want to get and just take it from them.
Yeah,
you know what?
It's like,
I don't want
okay,
you guys, but
it's
this
done. Give
is
me the
good the way it
Give
is.
me the
Give it to me.
transcript. Yeah.
Hang on, think of this shit for a second. She's writing a whole book. It's like what? There are like 500-600 pages. These comic book writers have it easier than this book. I'm not saying the process is easier. You're
Right.
writing maybe 20-30 pages tops, because comics are small, versus she's writing like Bibles pretty much.
That could be there's a pro and con to that.
Mhm.
Because again,
course.
because the idea is like in a comic, if it's a 20-page comic book, you got to have a start and finish point very quickly. Like it
Right.
has to kind of summarize the story in a short period of time. That's not easy to do either. I mean, a book, like I said, if it's hundreds of pages, for example, yes, it's more work, but it's more worlds. You can sort of take your time. You can kind of let things simmer. But a short story or whatever, it's got to have it's got to jump off the page and kind of grab your attention right away, because I don't think it's made for people with long attention spans. Although it's weird, I do know a lot of comic book readers who also like the long stuff as well.
That's true.
But me,
The
I was
graphic novels and
always a
everything
short
else.
story. I've always been like a magazine guy. Like for me, there's a few. The only guys I've gotten into where the book is like in the hundreds of pages is autobiographies. And it's weird, especially if I know who the person is. It's weird. I have this way of reading in their voice for some reason. If I know their
Right.
voice when I'm reading, I kind of put their voice in the book. I don't need the audio book per se, but I kind of put their voice into the reading, and that's how I get through it. But generally, I'm an article guy. I'm a short story type of guy, and you know, so that medium works better for me. But yeah, but the idea that even with the comics, you
Mhm.
have to know, you know, or again, it has to have like a breaking point or a stopping point that keeps people waiting for the next edition or waiting for the next one to, you know, next week or next month, whenever however frequently the comic book runs. You got to be able to nail it at the right stopping point and then get it to the and you know get to the next one.
So a comic book comes out, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I bought one in a series, monthly, pretty much. So they have time from one to another, and they're usually ahead like 6 7 months ahead of time. So that's the hardest part versus a book. They have to write, these say chapters for a better example. You write chapter one for November, chapter two for December, and so on and so on. So, but
Right.
they don't get a break. They continue always. The story continues. Look at Amazing Spider-Man. At one point it was like issue 5,000 something. So to they rebooted the
Uh,
whole series because like it was getting ridiculous at the point of the series. So they had
right.
to restart the whole series from the start because it was like, okay, Peter Parker is great, but the technology has changed so much. But really
Right.
fast, guys, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. If you guys have any questions, please. I'm gonna post the rules also, so we don't have any issues tonight or ever. So the rules is no personal issues, curses, no offensive language, racism and that's jazz. And if you will be on come up with camera, simple. No smoking on camera, no eating on camera. Please dress appropriately. Camera must be on and mic may be on. The link is in the chat. Please click and join us if you like. All
Yeah.
right, yeah. So yeah, the writing thing is completely different from comic versus books. It's a whole night and day, I think, and it's great too. I like the differences because
Right.
Mhm.
I do enjoy good books. Don't get me wrong. I read a couple myself. 13 Hours, Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
Hogan's book, so on and so on. But think about it. The process is different.
Yes.
And definitely with a real story. I met Chris Tanto a few years back when 13 Hour book came out. Right after the movie came out because it was back to back.
Right.
I just talked about it. I'm like, I wonder what the process when you went through the story, a real life story versus a fiction story. That has to be two different processes.
It had to
Yeah.
be a challenge because I know there are probably some things he couldn't put in the book, and at the same time, he wanted to
Yeah,
be as
top secret
accurate as
stuff.
possible. Yeah, and there's also he wanted to be as accurate as possible telling the story because it didn't just involve him; it involved other people, and he didn't want any of them to feel slighted in any way, shape, or form.
See, here's the thing:
Mhm.
the 13 hours, it wasn't one person writing it. The whole team at the excise unit, whatever it was called, wrote the book. But from my understanding, after the whole shit show over in Benghazi,
Mhm.
President Obama, I'm sorry, President Obama declassified that whole mission, so he could say whatever he wanted at that point. It was nothing top secret at that point. I might be wrong, and you're ex-military, so please, the floor is yours. Tell me if I'm wrong or right, or you have any input in that.
No, most likely it probably was declassified just so
Mhm.
they were able to share that story because the last thing you want to do is put any type of classified material in any type of publication. And that's just one big show you really don't want to be a part of. So I
Oh
think
yeah,
if you
it's a shit
did
show.
declassify, yeah, you really want to I mean, I think it was smart to declassify it. That way, if they want
Mhm.
to share their story, it makes it a whole lot easier to do that, plain and simple, because you don't want it to happen where anything possible. The last thing you want to do is put any type of sensitive information that's out there,
Yeah.
and it comes back and everything else. Just like the author who
But
wrote Black
also,
Hawk
you have to
Down.
remember, yeah, if you remember, Hillary Clinton was sending messages on a declassified phone correctly or something like that.
Yeah,
So
it was an unsecured.
that goes
She
out
was
no matter
using
what.
yeah, she was using an unsecured email. She was using an unsecured email account, and that's what it was. that if I remember, that was the situation that she got in trouble for, and that was like the big thing that led to that situation when she was running for president, was the fact that she was using unsecured server to when it came to the emails. Now people were saying, well, she's not the first person to do it. Other government officials have done it, but even still, the fact is, you really want to be careful when it comes to that type of information.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. One thing I was, if I had a chance to ask, um, how do you define, I guess, science fiction versus
Ooh,
fantasy?
yes,
Because there's always this overlap, right? Like Star Wars really isn't science fiction. It's called like a space opera. It's based on those old Campbell stories and things like that. It's much more in the fantasy realm than it is the scientific realm. Um, and I guess the second question I would have is, even with science fiction, how far do you push the envelope in terms of exploring concepts and ideas that may be foreign to us? Like we started the show. One of our favorite books was, like, again, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But
Jules
if you
Verne.
look at, again, a lot of those older science fiction that was written in the 1800s, it's amazing how a lot of that same technology is being used today. It was
Right,
a world that it was just so foreign to people. Now it seems like we're much more educated, or we much more have an understanding of things, but the science fiction tends to still harp on things that are, I guess, more known. Like, I don't know if people have the bravery to explore science fiction themes the way they did a couple hundred years ago, that really just change how you see society. Now everything is like, for example, if it's too foreign or too strange, then it's too woke. You know what I mean?
right,
It's like people don't want to take these ideas, like, what will humanity really look like 200 years from now? We talk about the Star Trek universe. What Star Trek, it was a Western, right? So back in the 60s, they
almost,
had all
yeah,
these Westerns on. It was a space, they called it was a space Western, you know. But if you
That kind of
really
makes
want to
sense, to be honest.
explore what the future is going to look like, I get the idea is you want to make it, especially with a TV show, it has to be relatable enough that you can you know tune in every week. Like, you want to
right,
watch it because it's engaging,
right,
but it should still. But the idea of science fiction is that it challenges your thinking. Like 2001, The Space Out, when it came out, like, half the people walked out at the premiere. Like, they didn't understand it. But it was going in directions. Like, that's a film that got more appreciated over time.
right.
But at the time when it came out, it was like, whoa, this is
It
just
went over a lot of
way.
people's head.
It did. But isn't science
Which
fiction
movie was
supposed
it
to
again,
kind
Paul?
of do that?
2001: Space
2001: A Space
Odyssey.
Odyssey,
Okay.
1968. And to this day, I mean, if you watch it, they didn't have CGI.
No,
They did all that, but the ship design, the way space worked,
the simplicities.
but it looked, even to this day, the film still holds up. Like, you can watch like an old sci-fi film from the 60s and whatnot. You can tell. You mean, yeah, the ships don't look real and all this kind of stuff.
Right,
But again, the moon bases, the ships, the way they travel, the way they, like, the ships are spinning, because it's like, this is how orbital flight is. It's like you're
yeah,
trying to catch up and sync up with stuff. It's not supposed to be spaceships just flying into a bay or something like that. It's like, no, you
right,
got this. This is going to take some time, because you're talking about the moon is revolving,
right.
and and you need to have the base spinning, because if you want to try to build artificial gravity, you got to have like something
You
moving.
gotta have something to keep it going in order for gravity to work.
Exactly. So I'm saying, so those things, I think it was so far ahead of its time, and we have a better appreciation for it now than back then. But I think a lot of sci-fi wants to go, like, again, back on old themes, like, like the Terminator or
Yeah,
whatever. We get it, yeah, machines and taking over the world, whatnot. But are people really challenging writing science fiction in a way that really pushes us to really think about the current world that we're in, and but more so where it's going? And will people accept that, or will they push back against it because they feel it's too unlike today? So your thoughts, both of you guys, just your thoughts on that. Because I think it's, to
Well,
me, unless it's doing those things, it's not serving what science fiction was supposed to serve in the first place.
well, I feel if the movie's too far fetched for people to believe, that's where the problem is falling. And if it's like to the point, like, okay, this cannot ever happen, I think it's bullshit personally, because we saw with Star Trek, we saw with Star Wars, we saw some other sci-fi things that are not existing. Watch us. We were
It
not
exists
smart
now.
watching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Star Trek for a show that was only on for 3 seasons helped spawn pop culture and modern technology for the last 50, 60 years. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, the communicators, the communicators from the original series, when you flip them up, that's what motivated Motorola to design the Razr phone.
Yeah.
People don't realize that.
And now we have
it-
flip some foldables, touchscreen ones too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Another example, when they always carried clipboards, they were called tablets. And I remember seeing, if you ever watched The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, they all had very thin versions of the same tablets.
Mhm.
It spawned the current tablets that we use now, whether it's an iPad or a Samsung Galaxy tablet or a Kindle.
Yeah.
You know, we forget how a lot of technology that we saw in science fiction has basically became part of what we use today. And sometimes at the times when we see this, you think it's far-fetched, but we don't realize that sometimes some of the things that we saw in science fiction back in the 80s and 90s, I'm not even going to go back to the 60s, but in the 80s and 90s made it possible for us to use this technology now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But
that's
not even so much, but it's all not just technology, but it's also just the state of human affairs. I mean, Star Trek was, for example, revolutionary because they broke a lot of racial barriers back then.
right.
You know what I mean? Like they say the first interracial kiss, even though technically they didn't kiss, was Kirk and Uhura in that arena episode.
William
Or whatever.
Shatner and Michelle Nichols, yeah.
Correct. But so that's what I'm saying. So they challenged a lot of narratives about humanity and like in where humanity sort of could go. I mean, Gene Roddenberry, he was a humanist in the most positive sense.
Right.
And he wasn't afraid to challenge these themes. But now you almost see, especially in the United States, a lot of times it's almost like a regression. Like we want to go back
there's a serious pushback. There's a serious pushback.
to like I said, anything that's too woke or too radical or whatever, we would need to get back to family. And I'm not, I believe in family, so I'm not anti-family or core things, but sci-fi wasn't afraid to challenge, again, our thinking.
It pushed
Not
the
just
boundaries.
the technology that was there.
It pushed the boundaries in a lot of ways. I mean, I know for a fact in the original Star Trek, I know people must have had a real shock when Walter Cohen, who played Pavel Chekhov, you got a commie on this ship, a Russian, and this is during the time of the Cold War, of course.
Yeah.
They must have been, Jane Roddenberry must have gotten some serious pushback because of that. Like how can you have someone in this type of position that's a Russian? Why not? You had Walter Cohen, who played Pavel Chekhov.
Right.
You had George Takei to play Hikari Sulu, Japanese American. And people forget Takei grew up in an internment camp during World War II.
Yeah.
You had Leonard Nimoy, you had Michelle Nichols, you had James Doohan, who played Montgomery Scott. You had people with various backgrounds working together just to explore space. And no one thought out, like, how can you get people of various backgrounds and genders and put them in a situation like this? Like, this is even possible. Like, people found it hard to believe that Michelle Nichols, they thought, she's just a phone operator. No, she was an officer.
Yeah.
She wasn't just a
woman.
woman.
And you talk about the officers, like even if you notice, there were a lot of black people that were cast as Starfleet admirals and whatnot. There were a lot of, or the guy, what was the one he made the I guess the computer that the M1 computer that it went kind of crazy or whatever. But again, Daystrom, I think was his name, right?
Right.
but he was brilliant, like showing a smart, intelligent African American man or black, however they back, at that point they didn't consider race at the time. But again, you saw prominent roles that were senior level officers and scientists and whatnot that were of any ethnicity or hue. I mean, that again, that was huge. And I think there's a story where I think Martin Luther King, because I think Nichelle Nichols, I guess she got frustrated with her role in the show. She was actually thinking about leaving.
Yeah,
You met
I'm hearing
Martin
about
Luther
that too.
King, and Martin Luther King was like, "Look, your show is like the only show really I allow my kids to stay up late and watch because past their bedtime, but I let them stay up to watch your show." And
Because
she
you're in a
basically begged
position
her
of
not to leave the
leadership.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Another example. And she was uncredited for this role. Most people didn't realize, but she played a very high-ranking officer also within the Star Trek universe. Madge Sinclair.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
And people forget also what was her last name. People don't realize. Admiral LaForge.
Oh, okay. Got
That's
it.
LaVar. Yes, that's Geordie LaForge's mother. Played by
Wow.
LeVar Burton.
The
Yeah.
thing with like Star Trek, for example, it broke a lot of walls down. You didn't have a lot of racist stuff. Pretty much, it was like you had all different race and species in one ship, and everybody
Right.
got along, and it was nothing like, and it was just another day in the office,
Yeah.
and that helped our society. I felt for a while. Then it turned to what we're into now, another shit show. And I think we need something like that again to wake us up saying, listen, doesn't matter who you are, where you are our people and you deserve a good chance.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what
I
your skin
think
color is.
perfect example of all the movies, I think, and I'm surprised a lot of people never thought about it. I think it was not Undiscovered Country, Final Frontier.
Mhm.
When it was the last Star Trek movie with the original cast. What was going on at that time period? What was going on in that movie? A peace deal between Starfleet and the Klingons.
Yeah, it was the undiscovered country. Yeah. The undiscovered
And
country. That was
what year did it take place in?
1991. That was the
What's
fall of
end
the
of the Soviet
the
Union.
Yeah.
And it's funny how Roddenberry's movies have always found the series and the movies have always found a way to coincide with what's going on in society.
Right.
And I
Right.
remember watching the movie when you had the dinner between Kirk and his group from Starfleet, Chancellor Gorkin, and the rest of the Klingon High Command, members of the
Yeah.
Klingon High Command.
Right.
And both sides looked at each other with this sense of detest.
Correct.
Both sides pointing fingers at one another when Chancellor Gorkin was assassinated on
Mhm.
the Enterprise. Who's doing all this? And then they later found out that there was a backdoor deal being worked out between some members of both Starfleet
And
and the
Klingons,
Klingons and the Klingons who
And
did
the
not
Romulans,
want
yeah.
things to end.
Mhm.
It was also the debut of Michael Dorn playing Worf, who played Kirk's
Yeah, he was right. He was
McCoy's-
a prosecutor.
Kirk
He
and
was a
McCoy's, lawyer.
defender. Yeah.
defense attorney.
And apparently he was supposed to be a descendant of Worf, I believe, in the
Exactly.
in the
And-
backstory.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be his grandfather or great grandfather. But
Right.
anywho, it really showed like, can we really? Is there a way that we can now see our adversary as our ally and friend? And you had people who did not want to let go of it. They
Right.
didn't want to let go of that because that's all they knew.
Right.
And time was showing them we got to let it go.
Yeah.
Got to move forward. The
Yeah.
only way we can evolve is to end our past grievances and learn to work together to move forward. And
Yeah.
that was not, and let's be honest, it was not that easy. But that movie was basically telling a lot of people on both sides, yes, we had these issues, we had these things, but guess what? It's no more. And we forget about all the other events that took place. You had the end of the Soviet Union. You had Germany reunifying as one country. You had the breakup of Yugoslavia. You had the formal dissolving of Czechoslovakia. You saw all these things happening so fast, so quickly, and people didn't know how to react. People didn't know how to feel. People were just like shocked and scared
Mhm.
because for a long time you knew this way, and now you're saying you don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And I think,
Well, like I said, unfortunately, like I said, there's been this pushback as of late. I think that the new Starfleet Academy, I didn't get a chance to watch it.
I didn't get to
I
watch
don't
it
have
either.
Paramount, but they're not renewing another season of it. I mean, I think
Really?
Star Trek is they're pulling back on it, and because I know when we went to Comic-Con, it was like big sign. I mean, it was like a big hype about it. They had like a live session with the creators and everything on it.
I
Like
heard about that, and
they're
they
really
brought back
hyping it
Richard
up.
Picardo to play the
Right.
Doctor
Right.
and everything else because this is supposed to take place like.
But from what they're saying, it was too progressive. And again, politics has gotten into so many different things. If a show comes off as being a bit too progressive, especially in this current climate, a lot of people just seem to either throw it out or reject it or what have you.
Because you know what it is? A show like that hits on the sensibilities of those decision makers.
Mhm.
And when you have a status quo that's so used to being those decision makers, those policy holders, those gatekeepers,
Yeah.
and now they start seeing something that's totally different from what they've known for so long,
Yeah.
or showing them that it can be better than what's currently going on,
Right.
of course they're going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? That's the one demographic that never had to worry about being uncomfortable. Everyone else had to, for whatever reason.
Correct. And that's the thing. Like, for example, like the whole, like we know, for example, this planet is, but like 300 years from now, we kind of know this planet is darkening. It's just like the numbers are just bearing that out. You know what I mean? So again, and the one thing with Star Trek, in fact, I had a book on this guy wrote a book on Star Trek, and he had his critiques of the show, but he understood like this is still the 1960s. You can't have, I mean, like I said, it was so radical at the time to have an Asian man and a Russian man, as you said earlier, and a black woman on the show. But if you really want to see like where human populations are going and who's growing and who's actually shrinking, it's a lot of these developed countries, and they're not having kids, and you know, but the third world and these developing nations, they're growing their populations.
Exactly.
And so 300 years from now, we may see a very different dynamic.
And
But that dynamic scares the heck out of some people.
And that's the problem. They're used to being the ones in charge, the ones at the control. And they're afraid that they're not going to be the ones in control anymore. And it's because they never had to worry about a lot of the things that everyone else had to. Everyone else found a way to be resilient. Everyone has found a way to be creative. Everyone has found a way to have a sense of motivation and drive. So that's what kept those groups going.
Right.
That one group that never had to worry about it, never developed those skills. And they're afraid that when they're not in that position of power, they're going to get left behind. And they don't want that.
Yeah.
So, but
very true.
And that's why I've always enjoyed Deep Space Nine, because they weren't afraid to go against the Roddenberry blueprint. And I remember a lot of people did not like that. And at the same time, Voyager came out, so they were more focused on trying to make Voyager successful than DS9. So I guess because they were so focused on trying to make Voyager grow, that gave the people at DS9 say, you know what? The hell with the rules. Let's start pushing the envelope. And that's what they did. They
did, but now everyone's saying, like, I guess the series that have come out since, like, I don't know, what are your thoughts on, I guess, and Pete, you get in here too, if you've seen any of the recent shows. I liked Discovery, and then the one, I guess, the Star Trek Year One. I liked those because I think Year One.
You're talking about Enterprise or Strange New World?
No, the Brave New World. Thank you. It's
Oh,
like they tried to get back to kind of like a retell those original stories because that feels like
What they were
Star
trying to
Trek.
do
The
was
movie that came out last year,
oh, I know what you're talking about.
movie master.
yeah.
Strange New
So,
Worlds and Discovery.
no, the movies that came out. That what was that group? Group 54 or something like that. It was like some
Section
underground.
31.
Yeah, Section 31. That was so different from anything that came from Star Trek before. I don't know if people embraced it because
Because
again,
Section
it didn't.
31, like you heard the stories, like anyone who's followed, we've all followed Star Trek. Section 31 was supposed to be this deep cover black ops group of Starfleet that don't officially exist. They're the ones doing things behind the scenes that most people don't know about. And then, of course, you have that other group, Temporal Prime, that makes sure that the timeline is maintained. And I think if anyone's ever watched any of the episodes, especially from Deep Space Nine, when they did a remake of the Trouble with Tribbles, and they went
Yeah,
back to that timeline, which was a great episode, by the way. It showed the importance why they had to have Temporal Prime. They had to have the Temporal Prime group to maintain the timeline, so that way nothing changes in any way, shape, or form.
yeah.
So that was the significance of that. Section 31 was this behind the scenes group that you heard stories about that you probably didn't know that existed. And they were doing things that most people never realized. They were doing the things to help keep Starfleet and the Federation going by working around the book. And I think, and people forget, and if I remember, I think Enterprise, I think both Enterprise and then it was emphasized again in Discovery, the importance of the Prime Directive.
Yeah, yeah.
So with me, I watched some of the new stuff. Like Picard was one of them I watched. I really enjoyed that. I just
Mhm.
I refuse to pay for another streaming service. That's why I stopped watching it. That doesn't give me my life because I already had
Honestly, I
enough.
love Picard.
I'm sorry.
I actually like Picard. I actually
I
did
enjoyed
like.
it. It wasn't the show. It was this Paramount. I don't think it has enough material for me to keep paying for a service that I don't need anymore.
They only did 3 seasons. So
I know.
season 1.
So what I was trying to say, what I was going with this is they do have a different take on things now, a little bit.
Right.
Not because the vision of Star Trek has changed, the vision of the world has changed. So they have to go. We have to watch what we put out in movies, in shows. You cannot talk
Because
about drugs like you did back in the day, or marrying interterrestrial, or aliens, or having a mixed species baby, or whatever you want to call it. They have to be very
oh
careful because they don't want to get canceled. Because cancel culture is number one out there right now.
yeah, and I
You
think
put
the
this
problem
into
is
the
people
story.
and I think the problem what people don't realize is when you do something like that, all you're doing is you're holding yourself back. You're holding yourself back and you're holding others back at the same time. Oh, that's not how it used to be. We need to bring it back to how it used to be back then. That doesn't mean it was good back then. And that's the thing people forget. We're talking about, oh, we need to go back to the good old days, but the good old days were not good.
Right.
And
But see,
that's the thing people forget.
that's why I was asking a question earlier about the books, and I went to the book specific. I know we got into like TV and what. That's a different space because again, obviously, you're talking about marketing to a mass audience,
Right.
and that's a totally different genre. But an author of a book, you're free to go into any direction that you want, and it's up to you. Especially if you don't go through a publisher, it's up to you to then do your pitch
Right.
on why the book is valuable or why this is worth reading. So I think authors and writers have a lot more leeway and flexibility in terms of the worlds that they want to envision and create.
Right.
But if you're trying to sell to a network, yeah, it's
challenge.
gonna have to fit into a space that the masses are going to consume. I mean, it's a
More
mass
like it
market.
has to fit into a space that makes a particular person happy.
Yeah. Or certain groups happy are the ones that wouldn't be offended.
No.
You got, yeah.
I agree with you saying, Paul, with groups, but no, let's be honest. It's a particular person. and we all know who we're talking about. But
Oh yeah,
we're not gonna go there.
no, I'm talking about today. I'm talking about
Yeah.
in general. I agree. Like the current 2026 climate. Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. But I'm saying, but in general, like just television in general.
Right.
Again, Star Trek barely got off the ground if it wasn't for Lucille Ball. I
And
mean,
there it is. That's right.
she
People forget.
she
People
believed
forget
in
that.
it, and that was enough to get them
And people forget
to
that.
get them started. But I'm just saying, in general, to sell on TV or you know those other kind of mediums or movies to get made. It's
Right.
a lot of people. It's producers. It's the people with the money. It's executive producers. It's boards. You got to get it through so many iterations. Star Wars wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for this guy Alan Ladd who worked over at 20th Century Fox. Without Alan Ladd, there would be no
Well,
Star Wars.
CQ was trying to write a he wrote a story about his life. There was supposed to be a movie actually. Then
Okay.
then they said, oh, a show. So it was going back and forth. So he was talking to producers and everything. So you have to go through an elimination process. So you bring the first book or the first draft
Right.
to a writing room, almost a reader room. So if it passes the first one, they go to the second stage and the third stage. Once you get a third stage, you go to the producers. Then you pick who you know. You as the publisher, you have a choice what the producer can be sometimes. And his
Right.
factor, it was they gave him choices. Um, but end up, the guy he wanted, they end up picking somebody else. It was a contract thing off too. So it was a lot of jumping hoops, jumping through holes, jumping through anything you can think you jump through. So when the movie thing kind of fell out, it went into a talk about let's do a show on Amazon instead. They said to him like, oh, even better. He goes, I can actually stretch this out. So and it didn't get off that past that. It just died after that.
Wow.
Yeah, he put months in work into this.
Oh, I can imagine.
He,
I can
he-
imagine.
CQ's been doing this for a while, so he understands things like this happen more often than you think. There are a lot of stories that happen. Blade is a great example. Blade,
Yeah.
the movie, was supposed to be rebooted. The writers that were done, the select of the actors was done, locations were done, costumes were made. They were just ready to go hit the location and start shooting, and the trigger was pulled. Supergirl, I think, was another one that had the whole movie done,
Yep.
editing and everything.
Yep. I heard about that.
Months before they were supposed to start showing the trailers before there's put the movies in theaters, they put the plug. I'm like, seriously, you're gonna put the plug? The movie's already done.
Yeah.
You spent millions into it, and it was during COVID, and making a movie during COVID was 10 times harder and more expensive,
Right.
because
Because
of
the
restrictions.
all the restrictions. Yeah.
Exactly. So why would you pull the plug on something that it's already made? I don't get it. Sometimes,
but I said
like,
book writers, you have that free. You could
Yeah.
again, but you especially if you own your property, you have to go out there and pitch it, but at least you own it. I think those people, in terms of science fiction, like the art of producing science fiction that challenges people's perceptions and attitudes and whatnot
Right.
is going to be the space of the writers. But if you're going to continue to just want to kind of copy what people did like back in the day or whatever and tell similar stories, then again, you're going to be kind of typecast in that mode. But that's where I think the work has to be. And then again, you go to these cons and conventions, you have your book signings or whatnot at Borders, or I'm sorry, Barnes and Noble,
Barnes and Noble,
and
yeah.
you talk about, like I said, it's an opportunity for you as the author to really pitch the world that you fashioned in your mind and get
Right.
people interested in what you're doing. I think that's the last medium that is available to do that. Everything else is corporate or corporatized, and independent writers. I think that's really where the future is, if there is going to be, because everything else is going to be on lockdown
Yeah.
until we get a new administration or until you get. But again, corporate money or whatever, that's always going to be in.
But what it also happened, and Paul, people forget a lot of these studios emerging. Look what happened when Paramount.
The monopoly. Yeah, and
Look what happened when Paramount Skydance was able to get Skydance Media.
Yeah,
you know?
but it's the
thing is,
monopolies that are being developed.
You guys are 100% right. Not only in movies, shows, even gaming, everything's emerging now these days. Even cell phone companies, you had, T-Mobile buying what was it?
Sprint, Sprint,
Sprint.
because I was
What
Sprint for like 20 plus years.
Yeah, so all these companies are merging. They realize we cannot do this by ourselves. A merger is the best. If it's a merger or a takeover, that's a whole different conversation for a different show. So
Exactly,
I'm not gonna
exactly. And
go there tonight.
I remember,
Go
Ubisoft,
ahead.
when Ubisoft was talking about doing another Assassin's Creed, and I remember the bases that they were going to use for Assassin's Creed. And when I read up and I saw some of the earlier still photos, illustrations from the game. A lot of people loved it, but it got pulled
Assassin's
because
Creed
of the
game you're talking about?
yeah. This one particular chapter, this one particular version,
Okay.
and what it was supposed to be a former slave who escaped the plantation, was recruited to be part of the Brotherhood.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about now. It was supposed to be after Assassin's Creed 3. It was supposed to be
place
a in-game thing, like a DLC kind of thing.
Yeah, it was supposed to be. It was supposed to take place after the Civil War, during the time of Reconstruction.
I do understand what you're talking about. The Assassin's Creed 3, between Assassin's Creed 3 and 4, if you want to call it that, whatever it was, Black Flag, it was a lot of what ifs in there, and people didn't understand that. But people don't understand also behind the scenes, the politics. You have to do a lot of politicking to get your game going, pick up the ground floor, because like anything else, you have to start with a writer's room. What is the story? What are we pitching here right now? Are we pitching Assassin's Creed in Civil War? Are we pitching in a piracy? Are we pitching during the French Revolution? What? And that's the thing about Assassin's Creed. They tried to
It
use
actually passed everything. It passed everything, but unfortunately,
look at the movies and the shows for Assassin's Creed for a minute. So the movie was supposed to have at least 5 movies, 3 or 5. I can't remember. The first one bombed so bad. The scripts are written, locations are picked,
Michael Fassbender. I remember.
Yeah, because they didn't follow the material. Like the MS wasn't a big machine hooked up onto you. It's something you lay down, and it puts you in a trance, and you are experiencing what your ancestors experienced. That's it. Not this machine, and you're running around you're doing all this stuff, and the machine's not gonna keep up with you in real life. I'm sorry. Now, this show, Netflix has been working on a Assassin's Creed show for years now, at least 3 to 4 years, and it's still. I have heard nothing about it. I'm going to look it up right now because Netflix was supposed to do it, and it's supposed to release this year. Let's say it's supposed to be live action Assassin's Creed. With Netflix producing from Netflix, with the filming beginning in filming. I'm sorry, maybe shooting now. I might be wrong. In Italy in March of 2026. They've been talking about this for a while. I mean, beyond wild. And I think it's a teaser trailer out already about it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, 3 years ago they released a teaser trailer, and it was a pretty cool trailer. I'm not denying. I got hyped. Listen, I have Assassin's Creed tattoo on my wrist.
Yeah.
That's how much Assassin's Creed fan I am. So even the games, they're not like was. My favorite one was always the 3 because it got me into the series. I'm not saying it was the best one. It's my favorite one.
Okay.
Angel's experience. Angel Notori was the best series, I think. Also, so it's a lot of good stories in Assassin's Creed. But after 3, maybe a little bit 4, I wasn't a fan of Black Flag because I didn't like doing all that sailing. It kind of bored me, to be honest with you. Personal experience. Not saying it was a bad game again.
Right.
But after Black Flags, it just started going down and down and down. Now, Greece, I was looking forward to the Greek one, man. I'm like, oh man, my ancestors are gonna be Assassin's Creed. I went, fuck yeah. It was more a history lesson than anything. and it was a fun game, but it was too long. That was a problem. Then Valhalla came. Oh my god, that was like 120, 150 hour game. I couldn't
Oh
finish
wow.
it.
Wow.
It was driving me crazy. Shadow's another one too. It was like it's a good game, but it's missing the
They're
it factor.
gotcha.
And that's where we're at right now with gaming, movies, and shows. Everything is missing the it factor. What is the
Yeah.
last show you were watching? You can say, I cannot wait for next week's episode. Both of you.
Oh wow.
The latest, which isn't much, probably the Cobra Kai series, and prior to that, it was Game of Thrones. I mean,
I never watched Game
that,
of Thrones.
that was
I have
something
to
that
watch that.
kept
I have
you
it's
like
my
on a
to-do list.
hanger.
Honestly, the
yeah.
only show I can think of, honestly, it was this one show that came out on Paramount Plus called Lioness, the one with Zoe Saldana. That was pretty interesting.
The last show for me personally, that I said
Uh-huh.
I could not wait to watch was Cobra Kai and Arrow.
Okay. Oh wow.
Because
Yeah.
Cobra Kai to me fascinated me so much because it came from the movies into current time, and they did a great. And Netflix, they did a great job. I'm gonna turn
Yeah,
Netflix. I'm sorry, YouTube did a great job with
YouTube
that.
started it, and then Netflix picked it up from there.
Yeah, towards the end, it got kind of cheesy a little bit, but it still was good. The only reason it was still good, I don't know if you guys know this, and I might be wrong. I'm not 100% positive, right? So don't take this as the Bible. But I think the writers from YouTube went over to Netflix to finish what their work was. But
I
they
won't
just
be
said,
surprised.
yeah, again, it was good. All straight cross. I didn't have any
I won't be
complaints.
surprised because they literally it was just a continuation of the Karate Kid movies. That's
Exactly.
basically what it was. It was just a continuation of the story of Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence, and everyone else was just along for the ride. That's just what
Now
it
with
was.
Arrow, I enjoyed it because the way they did it was dark. It was gruesome. It was
Right.
I won't say reality, but it's much of reality. If somebody who had to be something like that, yeah, I can see somebody doing that. Now, when he was swinging from building to building, okay, now you're going a little too far, bud. But again, I understand it's entertainment. It's a show from a comic book. I get all that. So some things I made a lot of sense to me. Some of them did not. So, like I said, I did enjoy it a lot, and towards the last couple seasons, you can tell it was time to pull the plug on it. You can
Right.
see the writer was kind of getting like, okay, I don't even want to watch
They're,
this anymore.
they're trying
And
too
it-
hard. I think the one show I can honestly say that picked the right time to end before it went in that direction was Gotham.
I never seen Gotham, but I heard it was good.
Oh wow, you will not be disappointed. It was on for 5 seasons. It came on Fox, and it was basically the story of all the recognizable characters in Gotham City before Bruce Wayne became Batman.
And that I
And
do
it
know. I
was-
know. I've seen clips of it. I saw a couple of episode here and there. I
Mhm.
know. You're right. I won't be disappointed. You're right, 100%.
It
Same thing with
was
the
great.
Penguin. I heard great things about the Penguin.
Oh,
show.
the Penguin was very good. The Penguin was very good. HBO Max, give credit to them to do that 8-part series on the Penguin because it was based on the Colin Farrell equivalent from the movie The Batman. So
Mhm.
it basically just showed how the Penguin became, how he became that mainstay in Gotham. And it was very interesting to see that one too. So I really like that. I tell people if you really want to have an understanding of that, watch the movie first. And then you kind of get the understanding of it. Gotham, you're not going to be disappointed from beginning to end. You're not going to be disappointed because you saw the foundations being laid for each character that leads up to Bruce becoming Batman. And it's almost like when you see that one thing at the end of the series, it brought it all together. It's like, now it came together. Now it makes all sense. Because you hear some backstories on some of the characters, but Gotham went into a significant amount of detail. How did each character become, the rogues gallery? How did each individual become who they are within the GCPD. How did Bruce Wayne, when he's this 8-year-old kid, will eventually become Batman? And you also see how Alfred Pennyworth just goes from his guardian to literally the caregiver and the father figure.
Mhm.
So it's a definitely
No,
it's
I
an
do that
evolution
part. I
of all
do
the
understand
characters.
that you see scenes of him like turning slowly to the Batman. I know that
Right.
part. Yeah, I know, I'm not saying it's a bad show. I've seen bits and pieces of it, like clips and a couple episodes, and I know it looks good. I just haven't got around to it because life happens
Yeah,
sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
but
Like
I
Flash,
recommend it to people.
when Flash first came out, that was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But after the third season, for me, I was kind of like, I'm over this at this point. You run. You go and you spin it, run in a circle. You win. You throw a couple punches. You use the flashpoint, and then and start again. All right, how many times are you going to do that? I lost
Yeah.
interest. Never said it was a bad show. I
Well,
lost
yeah.
interest. Wow.
Right.
Yeah, but even the show that came on in the 90s, the original Flash show that came on,
Oh,
not
yeah.
Danny Elfman.
I lost interest in that fast.
Yeah, but it's hard. I mean, that's why, like I said, I think the Incredible, as far as just TV show type of superhero, I think the Incredible Hulk from the 80s
With Lou Ferrigno.
yeah, because again, it was about the story. It was about Bruce Banner and the people that he encountered on a regular basis. It wasn't just the Hulk was going to do his, Hulk up at the end and everything. That's how the show ended. But the character of David Banner, they changed his name for the show, but this character of David Banner, you tuned in because you wanted to watch that. And my wife to this day, she still says she used to cry when they play that piano music at the end of the Incredible Hulk. She
Yeah.
would cry.
Wow.
Because again, there was about the idea of him hitchhiking down the road and what the next adventure is going to be or whatever. That's what pulled you in. It wasn't the Hulk smash and stuff like that. It was everything else around it. And that show, you want to talk about again, that show touched so many subjects. I mean, the whole child abuse. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that one in particular, to this day, I still remember that one with the father was whipping on his son, and then Hulk kind of comes in. He realized that the father was a battered kid himself. I mean, so they wouldn't be afraid to touch on a lot of these subjects that really addressed a lot of the human condition.
Right.
And that's, to me, that's why it was great. It wasn't a great superhero show, but it was a great show in and of itself that just so happened to have this Hulk that wasn't the one that, World Breaker Hulk or whatever, he would get hurt. I mean, he wasn't invincible like that, but it was enough at the time,
No,
I
I
think
totally get it. You guys are 100% right. And I was too young to enjoy the show at the time when it was airing.
That's one worth you might want to go back and watch. If just watch like season 1 or whatever, or grab I think the first couple seasons on DVD, but I don't have the complete series, but probably a lot of those are available on YouTube as well, or Paramount. But it's definitely worth checking out. I mean, it's out of all the attempts in the 70s, they had the whole Avengers team out in the 70s, including Spider-Man, but they were awful. Like everything, it's like
way
it's like the
before
Incredible Hulk is the one they
CGI.
got right. Everything else is no need to watch. Don't watch Captain
It
America.
was before CGI.
Don't watch.
before
Don't
special
watch.
effects. Oh, God.
They had a pilot. It didn't even get to a TV series. They had this pilot, Exo Man. It's not Iron Man, but they couldn't. It's called Exo Man. It's just it was a 2-hour pilot movie that never got to, but because of some copyright stuff, they couldn't do Iron Man, so they made an
Really?
Exo Man.
The closest I remember to something like that came on, I think it only aired for maybe 1 or 2 seasons. And Paul, you probably remember it. Mantis.
Yeah. Yep.
I think Carl Lumbly was in it, if I remember.
That was a 90s that was a 90s superhero flick. But I mean, he had all kinds. Now the one I liked that again didn't have a long life, The Man from Atlantis. I don't know if you remember that one. That was
Not
Patrick.
really.
That was Patrick Duffy from Dallas. He played.
Oh
Bobby
my
Ewing
God!
from
Are you
Dallas.
serious?
The Man from Atlantis. That was a very short-lived series, but I enjoyed it. It was great. But again, it's but all these shows, Battlestar Galactica only had like a 2-year run.
Yeah.
Galactica 1980 was awful. I mean, like
I
off a
saw
cliff.
some of it. But I'll be honest. Have you ever watched the updated Battlestar Galactica?
I've watched a couple seasons of it. It's definitely very different. I think they almost made it too, and that's the thing. Like it became almost like a religious show because again the whole Cylon, it was about these gods that they worshipped and things like that. And so again, they tried to add this additional complexity to it. But
I
as a
did.
kid, you just wanted to see Cylons versus Colonial Vipers and going off. But
Right.
even in the second season, they veered away from that and they started to
But
go into all these other adversaries that there were
but
Count
yeah,
Iblis and all these other people there. And that's when the writer Glenn Larson, he's a Mormon. And it's interesting in that show he introduced a lot of Mormon philosophy into Battlestar
really,
Galactica.
I never knew that. I was
Yeah,
always
yeah.
wondering, like, what are they meant by some of the things? I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's all Mormon philosophy,
okay.
pretty much.
But
So
You know what I find very interesting as you guys are talking because I was looking at it up. The Incredible Hulk show, the 1977 show, is not owned by Disney, and I'll explain to you why. I know
really,
why. Yeah, it's owned by NBC Universe because
NBC
when they were
Universal.
Universal,
trying
yeah.
to when they were trying to pitch the idea, they couldn't use the actual names. That's why they changed the names because of copyright stuff.
Yeah, David
They
Banner
couldn't use
instead of Bruce Banner. Yeah.
Right.
exactly, and that's how they got around the loophole back then. They were trying to Marvel did try to sue them, but I'm not sure that part of the story. But I do know that loophole was around it, so that's why is not a part of the EMCU or anything Marvel related on Disney Plus. It's actually on a different network. The only place you
Probably
can
on,
watch it
probably
right
on Peacock.
now,
It's probably on
it
Peacock because if it's NBC Universal, it's probably going to be Peacock.
actually no, you're wrong. Is Apple TV, YouTube, uh from Gano, from I can't pronounce the damn name, and Amazon
Fandango.
Prime. That's the only, yes, there are only four platforms that have it, and it's all you have to pay
Really?
per episode. You cannot buy the whole season. You have to buy per episodes.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we're coming down towards the end of the show. So let's get our final thoughts in about one by one. Let's get you in for Paul, then I'll get Entron in. All right, man.
Sure thing. Well, again, it was certainly a pleasure having Jean on. Go to her website again, jeanestelle.com. I tried to put it in the chat earlier. I don't know if you guys could see it, but it's GeanEstelle, jeanestelle.com. You'll find her books certainly posted there. You got a nice little website with a nice little intro video and whatnot. So definitely follow her there. I also put it on our Facebook group as well. But definitely, check her out. But I really appreciated her giving this the story in terms of what it is to try to be a writer, an author in this time, and what it takes to really market yourself. And like I said earlier, I think the independent publisher market is where it is, and so certainly I'm glad that she has that group that she works with to help her to the fantasy author legion. That's a great resource. So again, if you guys who are aspiring writers, you might want to look into that organization and to see how you can use their resources at the very least to bounce ideas off in terms of how they share information to get the process started. But again, science fiction as a genre, I think its future, I think, is in the hands of independent writers because we're just in too much of a highly charged political environment that will allow true science fiction to flourish. And again, science fiction is not just making you feel comfortable, that it's supposed to challenge your norms, your ways of thinking, and how societies operate and the technology, how we use it. And so again, our authors like Gene are where a lot of this is going to go in the future. So really had a appreciated having her on tonight, and again, all the best in her future endeavors.
All right. I know I came on after you guys had the interview. If she's watching, thank you for being up here. And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And I'm looking forward to checking out your books as well. And if she's looking for someone to to narrate her stories. She could do it herself, and I've heard about that numerous times from other authors. Sometimes the best person to do it is the person who writes the book themselves. So hopefully that gives her an idea, and I wish her all the best. But I'm glad she listened to her story on how she got into this. It's very creative, and it's very reassuring. You've always hear stories like this from other writers and how they got involved and what got them into this line of work, and also what got them into continuing what they're doing. And I can imagine the challenges and the difficulties of trying to write a book, but trying to write a 3-book series and having a family and still trying to have a life and everything else. It can be a challenge. It could
She also
definitely be
works full-time job. She has a full-time job too.
and thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. And she works a full-time job. That's got to be difficult and challenging. You always hear stories on how these great authors and their books and everything else, but sometimes we never hear about the story on what got them into becoming a writer and an author, and what were their hiccups and the difficulties and the challenges they had in trying to write a book. And like Paul said, the way things are going now, you need we need these independent writers to keep sharing their stories, to keep writing their books, to let people know that there's ways to accomplish your goals and your dreams outside the box in the quote unquote non-traditional way. And I hope these writers continue to write and mentor and motivate other young writers as well, because I feel like we need something like this. We need someone, or we need stories to let us know that sometimes you don't have to go with the flow. And I'm looking forward to reading her books. I'm really looking forward to it, to see how her stories are similar or different to those other stories that we've all familiar with, whether it was J.K. Rowling or J.R.R. Tolkien or George C.C. Marshall or whomever, who wrote a lot of great fantasies as well. And people forget that these individuals just wrote them for the sake of just writing them, and it helped. And I'm hoping that this will take her far in so many ways, where she can be very successful and look back at this, that this was her launch pad, that we helped her get to be that starting point. And that's all I can say, and those are some words we're thinking about. Thank you.
All right, thanks guys for Paul. Thank you for helping me with the interview, and Anton, thanks for coming up. Before we go, we have some breaking news. I got a report. I didn't want to do this in the beginning, so I want to do this towards the end. Unfortunately, we lost an icon today. Gene, I apologize, I'm gonna butcher his name. Takhan. He was known. He was known for playing in Top Gun, Back in the Future, Cobra, Master in the Universe, Problem Child 2, and War Games, and Robot Wars. Those are a few top movies he played. He died at the age of 94 earlier today. Tragic. He was a great actor. He's going to be missed. I'm going to miss his work because, man, I remember watching Top Gun, having that cigar and blowing in Maverick's face. Like, you think you got what you have, like, and in coughing and stuff, man. Or in all those movies, to me, he was a great actor.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it's a tragedy. Go ahead.
You recognized him, the shaved head,
Yeah,
that look. The thing I remember from him in Back to the Future, he was the disciplinarian at Hill Valley High.
Yeah. My favorite
Always
one was Top
calling
Gun
you.
with him.
Yeah, when he plays Stare, definitely. In Back to the
Yeah.
Future, you want to grow up, you want to be a slacker. That was his go-to word, slacker.
Yeah.
And he was just like, he reminds you of that dean or that principal that you had in high school. He reminded me. That's what the first thing that came to mind. definitely you can't go wrong with him in Top Gun. He was that dude. He was that person that chewed out Maverick and Goose before they had a chance to go to Miramar.
Yeah,
at
and
the
he
same
was
time,
like,
he
I
chewed
can't
them
believe
out.
I'm gonna do some of this. I can't believe I'm gonna do this. I'm giving your
You
life
guys gonna get
opportunity. And
shot. You guys are going. You two clowns.
And the
are going
funny
to Top
part
Gun.
is, and you know this, Anton, in a real Navy battleship, you're not gonna be smoking a cigar in the quarters. You like
Now,
you know that was
but back then, forget about it.
no, even back then, bro. No, you couldn't smoke on a flight deck. You could have, but not inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like even the scene when I think it was who was it? I can't remember what was the character's name. He snuck in the cowboy hat, and they said in those behind the scenes credit, they didn't know he had the cowboy hat. He had it under the seat. He took it out. He popped it on for action. And after the
Okay.
shot, it goes. The producer's like, it kind of looks good actually. I'm keeping it. Fuck it. And in real life, it goes, it doesn't happen. But let's go with a quick schedule update. Paul, you want to go over to our show, please? You're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
So yeah, tomorrow's show,
Mute button got you.
which happens to be my anniversary, by the way. So we got this topical in the gray area. Is marrying or dating for money wrong?
Happy anniversary. Happy
We're going to talk
30th
about that
season.
tomorrow. Is dating or marrying for money wrong? Let's talk about that tomorrow night on the gray area.
Ooh.
9:30 Eastern Standard
Hopefully,
Time. On the BME
Mrs.
Network.
Hopefully the queen doesn't want to kill me after this one.
No, she's good. she's
Mrs. Queen, if you're watching this, it wasn't my idea. Blame him. Blame him. Blame the bald guy.
She ain't going
not
nowhere.
the hairy guy. The bald guy.
She ain't going nowhere. Where's she going? She ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
That's
All right. So on Tuesday, we're going over. If my gear wants to freaking work correctly, it will be money versus happiness. So we're gonna be chopping off on Sports Arena 9:30, and next week we're gonna be back on the Hangout. I just had the show right here. Oh, Anton, you're gonna like this show, buddy. Martial art actors versus martial art fighters.
ooh.
Mano on mano. We're gonna do a versus next week, so definitely get ready for that conversation because you know me and you're going back and forth on this
Oh
one.
yeah, we're definitely.
Yeah, not a bad way, of course. Yeah, so we're definitely looking forward to that. Again, guys, if you see Jen stuff, please go check it out. Tell her the Spartan send you guys. You know, so you be like, let's help her grow her platform like it was helping us. So we're all in a team together. So hopefully, if you see this stream and you liked what she said, please share it. Show somebody. You know, this small editors, they're small town. Let's grow as a team. Everybody, myself, Paul, and everybody, we all are busting our asses to do this. I know she's putting work in. I know I'm putting work in. And of course, these guys put work in. Even he's trying to take another break. I'm not allowing him. That's a story. Honeymoon or no honeymoon, I don't give a shit.
Hater. Hater.
Work.
Hater.
He doesn't have one. We gotta get one of these. That's why.
You've reached your limit on talking. Shut the fuck up.
All right. So, as always, this was the Spartan Arena. I am the Spartan. He is Mr. President, my man Anton. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys.
Yeah, I'm good. We'll be safe.